Thank you, Samir. And good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining panel discussion on how GenAI will reshape the retail and CPG industry. GenAI is one of the most talked about word, finding a place right from boardroom to school buses. It's captured word by imagination on the profound impact it can have on how we work and how we live. uh, Generative AI is likely to unlock trillions of dollars in value across sectors. When I talk about retail CPG industry, it has been at the forefront of leveraging technology, whether it is managing vast amount of data, managing complex supply chain or warehouse operations, managing complex categories, product descriptions. Uh, Additionally, it's also extremely customer facing and distributed industry that offers wide range of opportunities for GenAI to deliver the value. Over the next few years, we expect GenAI to unlock anywhere between 400 to 600 billion dollars of incremental value to the industry. Today, me along with Nitin will talk to the eminent panelists about how they are adopting Gen AI, the challenges they are facing, and how are they tackling. I'm very excited. Together, we have about 140 years of experience in the industry, and look forward to hearing some great thoughts. I'll start with the first application. I think the extraordinary ability of generative AI to create human-like writing, audio, video, images makes, I think, the most obvious use case of customer service and customer operations. It has a potential to bring in about 30 to 40% productivity by automating customer conversations, by instant resolution of queries and complaints, as well as augmenting the skills of the agents really. So I'll ask first question to Vijoe as to how is he leveraging Gen AI in his organization.
Yeah. Gen AI as a domain itself is only 2 years old. We started our practice last year, and as a low-hanging fruit, we are heavily focusing on operational efficiency. So we have around 40,000 colleagues working across the globe in different domains. It could be in finance, in supply chain, logistics, procurement, right? But if you look at most of the research from Bain or McKinsey or from any of these research companies, right, what it says is anywhere up to 40% efficiency is possible with GenAI application, right? Our biggest opportunity today is in the customer service. We have around 2,000 plus colleagues doing ticket resolution, right? It could be internal tickets or external tickets, right? The whole thought process is how will you use GenAI to automate this ticket resolution processes. You know, we believe that up to 50% of tickets could be fully automated by either conversational AI solutions or basically the ticket resolution solutions in the GenAI space, right? We are partnering with companies like Core.ai who specialize in virtual assistants and voice assistants in this space, right? Another great example would be insights generation. Put it this way, in our company we have around 1,000 plus business analysts who have the key job of finding insights or delivering insights to the business on what happened to the sales, what are the key reasons why sales are lagging or improving, you name it. But we believe that again, with Insights Copilot, that job can be pretty much automated up to 70%, right? What today they are creating insights with taking data from multiple sources. It could be fully automated up to 70% using Insights Copilot. That's a huge opportunity for us. Another 1,000 member team fully focusing on insights generation. The third biggest one for us is finance. In finance, we think about it in departments like A2R, account reconciliation, and FP&A. One key job that they do is reconciliations. They reconcile books, right? We already built an engine called Recon.ai, and the purpose of that engine is the same. How can a machine do reconciliations rather than putting people on doing reconciliations, right? And we believe that pretty much around 40% of reconciliation that we are doing today manually could be fully automated using GenAI application, right? So these are the three biggest pockets that we are doing for the efficiency space. But equally, we are focusing on other areas like procurement. Autonomous sourcing is a great example. Competitor intelligence is a great example. Marketing is a great example. But those would be mostly like strategic enablers, things that we should do, right? To stay relevant. But like I said, right, our biggest focus will be on operations, on how to find efficiencies using GenAI.
That's great, Vijoe. I think quite an array of use cases across the organization. If I may ask you, how are you approaching this, and how do you see this area developing in the next few years?
Yeah, for me, the challenges today is not attached to GenAI. To be honest, challenges is the preparedness of the organization to be ready for GenAI. Right? Let's take data. Right? Uh, Most organizations are still going through this data digitization process. Not all data is available. For us, if I take our example, at least only 40% of the data is today available in the cloud. Right? So there is a long journey for us to bring data, accessible to everyone. Second thing is having standard platforms. Think about a company which operates in 128 or 200 countries, and if you have multiple platforms in the same domain in different zones or countries, implementation of GenAI again becomes difficult. So you should have a platform maturity, right? If you think about customer service, ideally it should be on one platform across the business, right? And the data maturity, right? So I think the heavy focus over the next few years for most of the companies will be on fixing the data part and standardizing the platforms and services that they're doing, which makes implementation of GenAI easier, right? Implementation and adoption of GenAI easier. Parallelly, I strongly personally believe that we are only seeing around 20% of maturity of GenAI as we speak today. There's a long way for the solutions to improve. Once this happens, right, it becomes a very deadly combo. Once the organizations are ready with the data and processes for GenAI, and when the LLMs are getting more and more, stronger, I think those opportunities are super big.
Thanks, Vijay. I think this is incredible insight, and we'll talk about some of the challenges on data and legacy infrastructure in the second part of the section. Nitin, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Rahul. So let me share an interesting insight, which is from the McKinsey survey, which happened last year. I'm not sure how many people know about it, but as per that, sales and marketing professionals were at the forefront of GenAI adoption, with almost 14% are already using it. And by 2027, enterprises are projected to increase their spending on GenAI solutions to $143 billion worldwide, up from $16 billion in 2023. So I feel there's a lot of potential into the marketing and sales area. And I think we have a couple of folks over here, Nithya and Suvro. So probably my question goes to you, Nithya, that how do you see that this any of the GenAI use cases into the marketing space, any kind of a content creation or anything else which you guys are experimenting? Share some thoughts around that, and also like how part of it, and maybe a double click on that.
Sure. Thank you so much, Nitin, for setting the context. Yes, indeed, right. The commercial part of applications, right, which includes sales, marketing, customer, consumer. These are the initial beneficiaries of generative AI, because these are potentially low risk and high value applications, I would rather say, for most of them, right? And typically, right, the early adoption has been in marketing creatives, right, wherein our organization is experimenting and kind of close to kind of coming to a conclusion on the right kind of model for creating the marketing assets. And then we are typically using tools like Stable Diffusion. And as you could imagine, right, we would need to experiment and do a lot of fine tuning on this off the shelf solution. So that's where we are kind of in terms of ensuring perfect outcomes through fine tuning by using techniques like LoRa, Dream Booth, etc. And then we are doing this fine tuning based on a lot of historical marketing assets that that we are passing to this entire process as an input or a training data, and then we are at a stage there where we have come pretty close to kind of what we could call as a production ready application, right? And to Vijoe's point, this technology itself is kind of not very old, and organizations are kind of at various stages of maturity or of being production ready, right? So that's where somewhere in the spectra of that is where Kellanova is also falling. So these are a couple of things in the marketing and sales which have proven to kind of in fact reduce the time to market for our marketing campaigns, and kind of have accelerated our decision making process, and they are super promising in terms of bringing efficiencies in the process.
Yeah, thanks, Nithya. I think that was really wonderful insight, and connecting the dots from there. I think at the end of the day, the marketing is done for the customers or the consumers, right? And Suvro, to you, I just want to check, like, are you guys doing anything from a consumer behavior perspective, like how exactly the customers are responding back to any of the marketing campaigns or any of the promotions which are going on?
Yeah, hi. So first of all, good afternoon, everyone. And I agree with Vijoy and Nithya what they are actually mentioned. So we are also in Colgate. In previous last year, we developed the GenAI the internally. So obviously, we use the Chat GPT, and but also for the marketing side, we are working some sentimental analysis for currently we are working for the customer feedback for the Colgate products like the toothpaste, toothbrush, and the body wash. So it's a simple word, the sentimental analysis with the GenAI, we involving the using the advanced machine learning model to generate the insight from the customer feedback. And the goal is to go behind simple the determine whether the sentiment is the positive, negative, or the neutral, kind of the emotional. So this unlock the underlying the intent, the emotion, the specific point feedback the customer or the expressing, and it allows the companies to not only got the overall sentiment, but also to understand the specific concern, the preference, and the desire of the customer, like emotion, and the leading to the more informed decision making and the better customer experience. So we work with also the one of the tool, one of the company like the Talk Workers social listening. So it's kind of the real time based on that. So accordingly, we are using in our GenAI technology in our marketing content or the any product related for our in our company.
Great. Thank you, Suvro. Let's shift the gear a little bit. There's another area which is buzzing a lot from a GenAI perspective is the product development. And recently, a Gartner report which predicted that by 2025, 20% of all the large companies will be using generative AI for product design and development. So, which is a big number. And for that, I would like to invite Som to share his thoughts. Anything on this particular product development side? Som, are you guys using GenAI, or you have seen like with your friends or anyone experimenting in that? And what will be the future of the product development in near future?
Sure. Hi, Nitin. Good afternoon, everyone. Absolutely. So there are a few areas in which GenAI is creating a new paradigm for product development. It is helping in rapid and virtual prototyping and design creations. Traditionally, product development is a time-intensive process, and from hundreds of options, let's say just one or two ideas is commercialized. So GenAI can accelerate the product prototyping lifecycle by creating new concepts. The way we are using it is, let's say in the product design space. So imagine you are creating a shirt. It needs to be a blue shirt with black stripes, let's say, running across it. So we might also add certain other designs of, let's say, landscape on it. Traditionally, this would have meant researching and going through hundreds of inspirations and deciding on that. However, at this point in time, we are creating some small POCs to look at how GenAI coupled with smarter prompts can create these design prototypes very easily. The designers can then add their artistic components on top of the shortlisted ones. The second area which some other companies are also using is around the evolution of virtual prototyping and simulation. Traditional design and testing methods have long relied on physical prototypes and extensive real-world testing like fabrics and all of that. However, these approaches are not without limitations. they are time consuming and resource intensive. There are potential benefits with the approaches of automating some of these things with GenAI. For example, cost reduction by reducing the need for extensive market research and concept testing. Second will be increased innovation through more rapidly generating diverse and unconventional ideas in greater volume. And the third will be time or speed to market, as GenAI can accelerate the ideation and concept testing phases, enabling faster product development and launch. There is one area where people are starting to look at a little bit of more research around that, which is around improving supply chain by optimizing inventory levels and demand forecasting. This can help retailers to reduce costs and improve customer service. For example, GenAI could be used to predict which products are likely to be popular and then automatically order the right amount of inventory. So I think these are the three areas where we can definitely use GenAI to for better product development and design.
Yeah, thanks, Som. I think one thing which I can understand is that uh, Gen AI is going to help a lot to the end consumer because of the time to market, and it will put a lot of pressure on companies like us to really accelerate the innovation and quickly adopt to the Gen AI. With that, I would like to hand over back to Rahul to carry on the discussion.
Thanks, Nitin. So let me bring in more consulting perspective here. Alapon, how are you seeing worst leading retail CPG clients as well as organizations like yourself leveraging GenAI?
Good afternoon, Rahul, and everybody. Yeah, that's a great question. I would like to focus a little bit on end users who are knowledge experts themselves. So these are end users who are already involving generating insights, analyzing data, looking at creating some recommendations from science and data products themselves. So driving internal efficiencies is a huge area of opportunity, which just kind of really unlocks a lot of productivity gains. So a couple of a few examples I can talk about is we could have a situation where there could be an application where you could query technical documents to understand answers to some of the FAQs. This becomes useful in the line of problem solving, where somebody's working through a complex science area or a data product. I think Vijoe mentioned insights generation before. So this is, again, an example that I'd like to highlight, where you could summarize insights and create some content from looking at numbers. This becomes a very, very useful step, particularly in consulting outputs. Helping with coding, you could look at developing applications which are around code documentations. This goes on to help a large coding community such as ours, where a same problem can be tackled by multiple data scientists, science engineers, where there are multiple stages of work handover between individuals. Coding itself, with some of the assistance tools which are coming into place, such as Copilot, that's something we are also actively working with. And again, to bring to life some of our recommendations, another area of application would be creating some media creatives to help along with the journey. These are some of the examples I could talk about right off my head.
Thanks, Alapon. I think very, very exciting use cases and lots of excitement about what GenAI can bring. But it also comes with a number of challenges, whether with respect to security or inaccuracy or violation of IP. So maybe I think we'll spend next few minutes talking about what are the challenges everybody is facing and how are they resolving it. Nitin, if you want to take it forward.
Yeah, sure, Rahul. So as we have discussed a lot of use cases, so let's talk a little bit about the challenges. Let me talk about my challenges. I think in my organization, I've seen that the biggest challenge is about the data security. If you're connecting to any of the LLMs using an API, the thing is that, are you exposing your own data, right? So that's one of the big thing where CISO organization will come and start putting all those restrictions in adopting the Gen AI. And in a recent study, which was done by Deloitte, and they've unveiled that study during the World Economic Forum this year. It states that the biggest three challenges are: number one is the talent management, second is the data governance and quality, and third is the data protection. So that's something which we are hearing from many of the C-level leaders. So my question goes back to Nithya and so maybe if you guys can take a minute to help us understand what are your challenges and how you see the data governance becoming a bottleneck for many companies. Is that something which resonates with you guys, or you have a different kind of a challenge?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I think you're right. I rather see as Gen AI, if I may just draw a similarity, as a Ferrari, right? And the data and infrastructure as the road on which the Ferrari has to be driven. So you can own a car as expensive and sophisticated as Ferrari, but you have to keep it in the garage unless you figure out your pothole free and good enough road infrastructure. And therefore, the data and infra foundation becomes super critical if we were to drive or derive value out of all of our Gen AI investments. So I would like to divide that into three parts, right? One is the data and infra, I would say, readiness in terms of the data availability, the infrastructure, competency, if I may, right, in order to kind of host the Gen AI workloads. The second one is in terms of efficiency, right? We could do we could have infrastructure and data, and we can run our AI, ML, Gen AI workloads. But we need to ensure that we do it in a very sustainable and efficient way, right? And the third one, of course, is the overarching requirement around security, privacy, ensuring that our AI ecosystem is responsible, it's ethical, right, transparent, explainable, and all of that, which is definitely needed on top of all the fundamentals, right? So I think as organizations, we are mostly at stage one, I would rather say, because when we are talking about data quality, lack of data governance, lot of fragmentation of our data ecosystem, right, complexity, right, we are kind of at a very early stage of figuring out the problems at the ground zero before we can put this data and infra into use, design our AI ops, ML ops, data ops, and everything to kind of do what we want with generative AI, right? If I just pick up a very simple, I would say, rather than simple, intuitive use case like a retail store execution use case in CPG, if I were to kind of digitize my retail shelf, right? We are talking about a lot of data, and then the availability is a question because not all the stores are digitized, right? So we are talking about data syndication, which itself is a complexity. So all of this, I'm just probably picking a very small percentage of the issues that we are facing with with the data. It is much larger and beyond this. So that's where I would rather think that most of the organizations in CPG are finding themselves today.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Nithya. So many quick thoughts from your end.
I think I agree with what Nithya just mentioned. I'll just talk about what we are going to see in the future. So we are exposing ourselves to a lot of prompts and a lot of new texts or new products and new things to be generated. So we need to be aware of the IP, whose IP is it, where it is getting fetched from, and things like that. And we need to have a very dynamic policies around what are the kind of prompts that we are exposing ourselves to. So I think new LLM kind of models will actually get formed in order to ensure that the right prompts are getting exposed to the right user base. So these are some of the things that we're going to see in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, I think maybe just a quick summary of the discussion. I think the era of Gen AI is just beginning. I think we heard some really compelling use cases across customer service, customer experience, to productivity, to improving the processes really. And I think definitely provides a lot of excitement on what value Gen AI can bring. I think at the same time, retailers and brands are obviously, I think, have a mission to protect, and along with all this potential also goes risk and the and the challenges that we briefly spoke about, whether it is about how do you ensure that there are no biases, whether the data is accurate, there is no IP infringement. So as I see that, I think organizations will manage both. They will continue to explore the use of GenAI for bringing exciting business opportunities or the productivity gains. At the same time, they'll continue to evolve their infrastructure, their data architecture, to make sure that we're able to customize the GenAI use cases for brand-specific guidelines. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining.